Hi, welcome back to my channel, Mel Stampin' Gallery. Time for a Tuesday tip. I just did this video, this layout, last week, and I thought I would share a little tip with you on how I use the print and cut feature on my Cricut to make this this gnome embellishment here in the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and move on over to my computer and share this tip with you. So I want to take this image of this gnome that I found and make it a print and cut. Now to do that, I've got the whole thing selected, and if I go over here to the bottom right where it says flatten, I can hit that button and it will flatten it, and then it changes it into a print and cut. And you can see that over here where it says print and cut. But all those black lines disappear, and I kind of like those. I like to see the distinctions between the two layers. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. So let me undo the flatten. Now, if you look at the gnome, I've got him selected now. He's all in one piece, but I'm going over here to my layers panel. This is going to be your best friend. I'm going to hit that little arrow and open him up, and I see all the different pieces of the gnome. If I were to cut that out, that would be a lot of mats to cut out. Not too many really, but it's easier to do the print and cut. So I'm going to go over here and select, let's start with the nose. So now I've got that selected. Now what I want to do is put a small offset around there. So go up here, hit offset, and I want it at a 0.025. So I just change that, hit apply, and then you see over here I have an offset, but I don't really see it behind the nose. So I want to make sure I'm over in my layer panel. I've got it highlighted with my little hand. I can drag it up and put it under the nose. Okay, so do you see how I've dragged that? So it will be, whoops, come on, under the nose. And then now you see the nose right there, and you see the black outline for that. So now I'm just going to keep going and work on the next layer, which is the mustache. Same thing, now I clicked on that. Now the mustache is highlighted. So I will hit my offset again, and it should go to my last measurement, which is 0.25, and I'm going to hit apply. And the same thing. Now, if you look at the mustache, you see it's outlined here, but that's because the offset went to the back. And here it is over here. It's actually underneath the pink floaty, but I want it underneath the mustache. So again, I'm going to click it and drag it up to right there under the mustache, and you'll see it popped off. It popped up to behind the mustache. All right, so let's do one more. Let's do the hat. All right, so now I've got the hat selected. Same thing. Let's go up here to offset. Excuse me. And we've got the same measurement, 0.25. We're going to hit apply. And that one is good. Oh, except you see this right here? I want the hat to be in front of the floaty. So again, I've got my offset over here in my layers panel. It is selected because it's blue. I will drag it up and put it under the hat. And you should see, and it did, and it popped right there. All right, so I will continue to do each one of those layers, and then I will show you, and I'll be right back. So now I've got all the pieces, all the different layers with an offset. Now I can go, and if I've got the whole thing selected, if I go over here and I hit flatten, then it turns it to a print and cut, and you can see that all those black lines are there, distinguishing between each layer. Now, let's say I do want to put one offset around the whole image. So let's go over here while it is selected, go back up here to offset. and it defaults to the last one that I had. And for this particular thing, I want it to be a little bit bigger, so I can change that to whatever I want. So let's go 0.0. Oh, let's do, I usually do about an 8. All right, let's hit apply and see what that looks like. All right, and that looks pretty good. I can see it's black. It defaults to black, but you can see that it's around the whole outside image. But I don't want that to be black because remember I'm doing a print and cut. So I want to change that to, let's change it to white. But now I want to make sure that when I send it to my printer, it is not 2 separate layers. So I want to go ahead and make sure I've got both of them selected again. And this time I'm going to attach the top layer to the bottom layer. Okay, and for good measure, I am going to, because it still says basic cut up here on the operation. So after I've attached them together, it's kind of like gluing them together, then I want to flatten it again. All right, so now if I look up here, it does say print, then cut. So then if I go over here to make, it brings me to my screen, and then I can just hit continue and send it to my printer and then cut it out. Now, one thing I've noticed, this is a pretty huge image. Of course, I could have made that smaller when I was working in my design space. So let's see. If we have that selected, I can see that it's 6.8 by 8.5. So yeah, that's pretty big. So now we can just click and drag it, make it whatever size we want. So I have this at the size that I want, and before I actually send it to my printer, I think because it's small and I don't want to waste all that paper, I can actually make, let's make 4 of them and see if that will fill the paper. Hit apply, and it does. It fills up the paper nicely. So I can get 4 images out of that one page. So then when I hit continue, it sends me to this screen, and it's waiting for my maker. Your maker does need to be turned on in order for you to print. And now I can send it to my printer. And of course, I want to make sure I have the correct printer selected, and I do. For some reason, it had been sending me to a weird printer before, but now I do have the correct printer selected. I don't need a bleed because I do have that white offset around it. So I'm just going to turn off the bleed, and then I can hit the print button for it to print. All right, so you can see it's been printed. I've got it on my mat. I just hit the flashing arrow and it will load it up, and hopefully it will cut it out properly. Let's see, we have to hit the little flashing Cricut there. Now it will go. Let's see, and it is, it's just loading. And it's reading all the registration marks so that it will know where to cut, and this takes a minute. So I'll come back and show you the finished product. All right, now it is reading those registration marks. You see those black lines, the corners. The Cricut reads those lines, and then it will know where to cut the images. All right, now it has read everything, and it's cutting around each one of those images. Now let's bring the mat over, and all we have to do is take it off the mat, and I like to just kind of flip my mat over and bend it back, and then release my images from the paper, or from the mat that way. And now I just peel that off the mat, and I have some darling little gnomes that are all set to use on my scrapbook page as desired. Of course, I could use those for card fronts if I wanted to, but there you have it. And for his eye, I actually added a black enamel dot. I was lucky. I found one that fit his eye perfectly. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you will give this print and cut a try. It just takes a little bit of practice, but once you figure out how to do it, it's really fun then to be creating some of your own titles and embellishments. And I actually did this title the same way with the print and cut that I'm going to be using on a layout this week. So thank you so much for joining me, and right up here I have another playlist of all my Cricut design tutorials. Thanks. See you next time. Bye.